Mr. Barsamian, thank you very much for this interview. And approximately in 4.5 months, American citizens will get new elections. And as we understand, main candidates are President Trump and former Vice President Biden. So what kind of work have Armenian organizations in the USA done to find out positions of Trump administration or Biden team on American assistance to Armenia, or to Artsakh, and on Armenian genocide?
Sargis, good speaking with you again here from the United States. So basically, we have two. It's very clear. You're correct that President Trump and Vice President Biden will be the two candidates. That's quite certain now. So you have two individuals with years of experience. Certainly, Senator Biden, when he was senator, was the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, then became vice president. He has had years of experience with Armenian Americans. President Trump being in the White House now for 3.5 years. This past September and again this April, Vice President Biden issued a statement saying that he will recognize the Armenian genocide unequivocally. Mm-hmm. So, period, stop, he will recognize the genocide. President Trump, again, used the same old tired language that we've heard from every other president other than Reagan, who was the last president who recognized the genocide. Mm-hmm. Nagorno-Karabakh, I think that the people around Joe Biden, and I'll be honest with you, I am a Democrat, so I'm involved a lot in Democratic politics. So I do see what's being played out. Their foreign policy people understand Armenian American issues. The one thing I will tell you is the White House right now is in flux. It's been in flux because of its constant turnover. This week, as you know, John Bolton, the National Security Advisor, came out with a book. And if you've had a chance to read parts of the book, it's fascinating. I mean, the problem we have as Armenian Americans is who do you deal with at the White House when there's so much turnover? So it's troubling to me that you have General Mattis, Secretary of Defense, Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State, John Kelly, Chief of Staff, John Bolton. These are the heavyweights in the White House and in the administration, in the cabinet positions. So that's a bit of a problem when you're trying to form policies around NATO, around US-Armenian trade, around Nagorno-Karabakh and Artsakh. So that does become a problem.
Okay. And we can see that President Trump used the expression "մեծ concerning to the Armenian genocide, but on the other hand, we see that both chambers, both houses of U.S. Congress and approximately all U.S. states have recognized the fact of Armenian genocide. Do you think that the upcoming 4 years will be decisive for American government's decision on Armenian genocide?
Absolutely. I think the fact that the House and the Senate passed the resolutions was the nod that the president, the next president, whether it be Joe Biden or Donald Trump, really will have to recognize the genocide. I would hope that Joe Biden comes in and within the first few months recognizes the genocide and affirms it, period. I mean, it just should be done. The key there is that he directs the State Department to recognize it and make it part of U.S. policy. So our diplomats around the world and in Armenia, our U.S. ambassador can recognize the genocide and call it what it is a genocide. Another troubling fact that it went under the radar screen the last couple of weeks is that Turkey has set up a new institute that President Erdogan has asked for to counter genocide recognition around the world. This is the final nail in the coffin. They see that the whole world is now recognizing the genocide, and they're in desperation mode to try to stop it. I think it's too late, and I think they know it's too late.
Mr. Barsamian, during Trump's presidency, the Velvet Revolution took place in Armenia, but unfortunately we haven't seen any essential changes in Armenia-US relations. Do you think that during the upcoming 4 years, relations between Armenia and America would be changed?
I think it takes time. people talk about America as an aircraft carrier rather than a swift boat. Why do they say that? Because an aircraft carrier changes course slowly and it takes time. I think that's where we are. The one thing that happened over the last couple of weeks, which I thought was encouraging, is the Armenia signed on to a religious freedom pact with the United States, which has 20 countries who are in that class, which I think is very, very helpful, because Armenia is an open society. People can practice, Yezdis can practice their religion, Armenian Orthodox can practice their religion. What that does and how that translates to the Armenian citizens is that people will visit Armenia because it's a safe place to visit. I think right now most Americans would not visit Turkey or Baku because they're not sure what's happening in those places, if their freedoms will be recognized, and if they'll be able to walk the streets freely. I would imagine, being a NATO ally, Turkey would be better, but you don't know, because we hear so many stories of churches trying to be burned in Turkey, and religious freedom somewhat suppressed in terms of Hagia Sophia, and the fact that they are now moving. There's been these test cases to consider opening it as a mosque. These are bad principles. I mean, Armenia's always been an open, tolerant society. Yes, we are Christian. Yes, we are Orthodox, but we're open to all faiths, and I think that bodes well for Armenia.
American assistance to foreign countries, including Armenia, that has been reduced during Trump presidency. Do you think it will be possible to increase American assistance to Armenia during the upcoming 4 years?
I think the bilateral relations are improving every day. I think that Congresswoman Jackie Speer, when she wrote in the $200 million into the bill, so that we received additional assistance, I think that will increase. I would like to see Armenia on par with Georgia in terms of assistance. And I think Armenia and Georgia are natural allies. They'll work together. So there should be more cross-border projects and freedom. Freedom House has said Armenia is at the forefront of a free and open democracy. As long as Armenia sticks by those principles and rule of law is in place, the court system, the things that, freedom of speech, if all that is in place, Armenia will continue on the trajectory of a positive outcome with the United States and assistance from Europe, United States, Russia. I think all those countries understand that Armenia is at the forefront today, and that's a good thing.
If I'm not mistaken, you talked about mutual projects by Armenia and Georgia. Is it? Can we expect some kind of mutual projects by Armenia and Georgia?
I think it would be great to have infrastructure projects. So high-speed rail, coordinating of police forces and in terms of information on crime, things that a democracy should have and I think I was in Georgia about a year and a half ago, and I was very impressed with their attitude towards Armenia, and I think the U.S. is very open to us bringing projects. The interesting thing about the U.S. government is they will look to their citizens to bring projects. So we, as Armenian Americans, have to bring projects to the American government and say this is in Armenia's best interest, but also there's good reason for us to do these projects in Armenia.
You know that several days ago, Azerbaijani Defense Minister Zakir Hasanov stated that Armenians, thanks to their U.S. sponsors, could buy and install American systems, surveillance systems, along with Frontline, and now Azerbaijani army cannot target Armenian servicemen. And moreover, Hasanov complained that he talked with American representatives and unfortunately wasn't provided with answers how Armenians could buy and install American systems. So what can you say on this?
So I've had a lot of experience in this area. The world is a changing place, and security systems and shot detection systems, they should be available to Armenia and Azerbaijan. I mean, if we're going to make this a safe place, then Armenia needs the best technology to defend its borders. I'm not happy that the Trump administration unilaterally gave Azerbaijan $100 million in defense technology or aid or assistance to beef up their borders. Armenia should get the same. So the fact that the defense minister of Azerbaijan is concerned about where Armenia gets its security, border security and technology from, it should be available to both countries. I mean, we know that Azerbaijan buys drone technology from Israel. We've protested that because it's used, against Armenians. Basically, we are there to defend Armenia's borders, to make sure that it's safe. But security in the region is going to take security for Artsakh, security for Armenia, and ultimately security for Azerbaijan as well. Everybody has to feel safe. And until Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan start working together and coming to some kind of settlement in the future, the region won't work effectively. In order to do that, you need good security and good checks and balances on all sides.
Okay, thank you very much for this interview, Mr. Barsamian.